Welcome, one and all. Um, Make sure I had everything set up the way I wanted. Should be good for streaming and everything. Just make sure I'm set up with what I want to do. Are we live? Are we anything? Let me just double check really quick. Yep, we should be good. Alright, so I wanted to do a video that I've been working on for writing a script for and stuff. Basically, if you saw the title, this is what it is. It's combat your depression and stuff. Say no to the pill. And then it's by not a fucking expert, just a normal dude and stuff. And this is mainly focusing on people that take antidepressants and stuff like that, or things to mitigate their depression if they have it. So I've gotten enough people that have asked me advice on what I've done personally that to combat depression in my life and how I've mitigated it, what sort of methods and techniques, whatever I've used, because I'm a big proponent of kind of not treating medication as the first and only option towards combating it. I think a lot of people take that approach without trying to exercise different options, and I take the approach of that should be a last resort and stuff. And we'll get further into the thing talking about why I kind of chose that path or whatever. So if you're going to be watching, I'm not going to comment for any of this and stuff until after the video's over. So just if you have any thoughts or anything or questions, just leave them for the end. Because I'm going to post this on my YouTube just in case you want it as a source. I'll leave, and if people want this, I can send them a copy of this presentation I did or whatever. But I'm hoping to format this for the audio and everything for podcasts or whatever. If you get a kick out of it, let me know. But yeah, so we'll go forward, moving from here. Anyway, so starting with the preamble and stuff, like kind of like what we're going to be talking about and everything. None of this is without personal experience, otherwise I wouldn't be giving the advice. Obviously, that's kind of the whole thing. I don't trust any sort of advice to be giving out to people unless I myself have taken the advice and applied it and have been successful with it. So just, if there's anything I'm saying, it's something that I personally think that I've found to be a success in combating my depression or anything. This is part of the reason why people ask me about the methods I've used and stuff, because I've had personal experience with this too, where I would go to a counselor, a psychologist, or someone that had an actual degree and they're in a professional in their field, and they are good at diagnosing the problem of the source of the problem, but they lack the ability to give you the proper advice towards how you can apply yourself to combating those issues and stuff, at least that I've found. A lot of people, and the whole reason I started this was because a lot of people, including people that aren't experts, default on the answer of like, oh, just take medication. That'll solve all your fucking problems and stuff like that. Of course, naturally, just take this magic pill and it'll just make all the problems go away. And I've just found in my own experience when I've taken medication that is not the fucking case. There's a lot of asterisk style things that are happening with that too. So, it's just, it doesn't work for everybody and stuff. But I tried to get later in the video, like with all these examples and stuff, I'll try to give some practical ways that you can apply yourself in terms of combating a form of depression you might have. Yes, and to that point, they can have a lot of side effects that the people prescribing those antidepressants are not acknowledging and they're not talking about. Just from my experience and what I've heard from, and I think the next point is to that, there's always a give and take, pros and cons. Yep, that is 100% true. It doesn't even have to be with antidepressants. It can be with any sort of medication. But I will say that what kind of influenced me to do this video was I've had people in the past who were on antidepressants that just killed themselves. Like it was straight suicide and stuff. Not and stuff, but anyway, they just straight up killed themselves because they were in such intense pain that was only fueled by the antidepressants. And I can only imagine that a person going on a medication like that views that as having exhausted all possible options in terms of combating their depression. And I really just am so sick of that. I am so sick of the mentality that's projected onto the patients that this is the be all end all, and if it doesn't work, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're fucked up. You're going to be this whole way your life now, so you got to take this medication forever." And that is just a disgusting way of looking at things. I really think that is a very small, minute amount of people that can really have that situation apply to their case or whatever. But yeah, I really strongly disagree and stuff. And so I've seen the case for people that just take their lives because they thought that was, if the drugs didn't cure them, then nothing would. So yeah, there is definitely pros and cons to this. Yeah, I was just going to say that since I'm a guy, maybe some of the advice that I'm giving is going to be more suited for men. Not saying it isn't applicable to women at all, because obviously, I just think that because of my experience being a guy, dealing with depression, it's different from girls and what they might be going through and stuff. But doesn't mean the advice isn't at least taking into consideration, is all I wanted to say. Yeah, and then all the talking points I'm going to make, they aren't in order of anything of importance or whatever. I kind of just listed them as is. And so if you find particularly more value in something else, that is totally fine. It's going to be different for everybody because obviously everybody's got different issues and stuff. So yeah, that's about that. Oh, remember that ideas are dangerous. Yes, because, a professional psychiatrist, counselor, just physician or anything, like they're going to speak against it and stuff. They're like, oh, if you're not, there's some people that are exactly going to be like, oh, you shouldn't listen to this because it's not pro medication and stuff. You shouldn't be listening to those dangerous words. And it's just really stupid. It goes back to like, oh, they just want to, there's going to be some people that just want you to be on meds and they don't want you to hear anyone else's advice. And that's just really shitty logic. And I very strongly disagree. So yeah. Anyway, that should have been the preamble. So anyway, we're going to move on to the obvious shit, which is going to be like, think about it as all the basic shit that people tell you to like fix your life and everything. It's all the really stupidly obvious stuff. And this is going to be in the most applicable category of, well, duh, kind of. And just all that stuff that you hear all the time and everything. So obviously, dieting, that's a super fucking obvious thing. It's like, oh, well, if you just diet better, then you obviously you're going to feel better. Yeah, no fucking shit. I think it's just, I really don't like that it's very boilerplate. There's not a lot of, they don't go too much more into it besides just eat more fruits, eat more vegetables, eat less fats and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, that's awesome. But how do we, in a practical sense, apply this to our lives? And so, from my own experience, I've found that some people like to commit to a certain diet. I certainly have done that multiple times. I've gone vegetarian. I've gone vegan. To lack of a better success or failure, I don't know. But I think the best way I've found success through dieting is just experimenting with the foods that you eat and everything. I think replacing certain foods, obviously, like at one at a time, in and out of your diet, can be like a very good method and stuff for that. So let's say you like to eat out a lot. Well, maybe instead of eating out but not changing your diet, just cook the meals that you like to eat out. Like say it's a burger and fries and stuff like that. The only thing I would suggest is just don't eat out. There's a lot more preservatives and everything, obviously, in those fast food meals. So let's say you just want to do that. That's totally fine. You could take it a step further. You could limit the type of meat you want to do, or whatever. You could you could prioritize vegetables, starches, and everything. But yeah, there's really a lot of room for that. I'm not going to really hone in on this. Plenty of people preach about dieting, and I'm sure you've heard it enough times. But anyway, wanted to get it out of the way. Same thing with exercise. Everyone's going to fucking say it. It's a very, like, easy thing and stuff that everyone's going to preach. Exercise, you'll feel better and stuff like that. It's super fucking obvious. I think a lot of people, though, try to convince you to develop a more intense routine than just a simple, practical way of looking at it. I think a lot of people need to change their definition of how they're exercising and what is exercise. Because to me, how I've defined in my way, is just anything that you are. So take your entire day of your daily activities and then whatever routine you have for that, and apply something more to it that is in some way a physical routine, like it's a physical activity. That itself, I believe, is exercise. So let's say, you walk 10,000 steps a day or whatever like that. So now let's say you just add 100 steps. There you go. There's exercise. Obviously, the thing you need to understand is that with that too, you are going to see results faster with your exercise, the more intense and the longer you do those exercises. So for me personally, I just I'm a very intense person when it comes to my exercise. I like to work out 7 days a week. I like to do it for an hour straight. But that's just me. That's what I like. Again, you have to find your level, your pace and stuff. So that's what I mean. You need to create your definition of what you think it means to exercise, but it's always going to be doing more than what you're already doing, is how I would look at it. So, yeah, I'm not going to preach too much about it. Obviously, these two things are good. Drinking water, I think that goes into dieting, but I just wanted to leave it as a separate thing. It's another thing that instantly boosts your health and clarity. What I've found as a practical way to look at it is just have a water bottle on you when and where you can, and when you're thinking about when you're having like sort of craving or something like this, and this can go into the dieting part of it. When you're having a sort of craving for something, I would suggest taking a drink of water beforehand, because it could just be, and they've proven this too in studies, that you just could be dehydrated. So that's totally fine. I would just do that. There's a lot of people that still go off of the 8 glasses a day of like 8 glasses of 8 ounce of 8 8-ounce glasses of water per day for water. The better rule I've heard is just drink when you're thirsty, and that's about it. So, again, that's just practical, just obvious shit that you're gonna find about that. So, for me, like I'm drinking coffee right now. I drank some water before this, so I could enjoy the coffee. I think that also makes things that aren't water more enjoyable because now it's your body telling you it's like, okay, no, I'm just doing this to like enjoy it rather than just trying to not make myself hydrated and stuff. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Had to take a drink. Anyway, social media. Basically, everyone will say this. I think enough studies have come out now that's saying that you should be detoxing, you should be limiting or mitigating your amount of social media and everything. So that's pretty obvious. You can obviously do it to whatever extent that you feel comfortable with. But I don't think there is truly a net positive without any sort of repercussions to social media. I think there's always a give and a take for what you are sacrificing when you are on those platforms and what not. But again, it's something that I'll just only touch on for a little bit. But yeah. This goes kind of with all of it. The reason I left this at the bottom was acknowledge the progress is slow. That's a big thing that I think I've talked to people in the past about is they are under the impression that their success is going to be overnight with the change that they're going to be doing to themselves, whether it's dieting, exercise, a mix of that, or whatever. Even detoxing from social media. And in my own case, I have just found it's not the case at all. Very much so is that you have to be planning for the long term of this. You have to really know that, if you're going to start running, if you're going to start lifting weights, if you're going to start dieting differently, you're not going to see the results or the fruit of your labor really come down for maybe like a couple weeks to a month or something like that. And I can really attest to that because I have been in different stages of my health where I was underweight, I was overweight, and as soon as I changed a significant thing about something about myself, within about a month's time, I started to see the progress was slowly going in there and stuff. But that also means that you have to be consistent about it too, and everything. It has to be something that is a lifestyle change and not just some sort of detox, unless you are doing it in the short term just to try it out. But it comes from a lifestyle change is what I'm saying. So anyway, yep, just more to that point. Overnight success is a myth. It doesn't really work. I don't know if people are pushing that or something, but yeah. Okay, so that's basically all the obvious shit that I was gonna be preaching and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so the first thing that I would recommend is identify the value of your own worth. And we'll get to that. So it's about identifying the value you're given by your peers and family. So when it comes to your interpersonal relationships with your friends and family, people put you on different levels of, I wouldn't say the social hierarchy, but they put different levels of value to you, like how much time, because time is a unit of value. And so what they do is they'll put you on a different level for how much they value you and stuff. And there's all these different factors that play into how much they're valuing you in your life, in your life and in theirs and everything. So it's important, I would say, to pay attention to that sort of thing, because it's going to go on to these further points. Because you're going to want to mitigate who you bring in and share with your life, because over time you're going to find people obviously that aren't into you and stuff like that, or don't like you as much, and you want to learn to mitigate the people that don't like you with the people that do like you. And it's important to identify those key factors about what's making people like and dislike you, and how much time they're investing in you and stuff. Because obviously you don't want to be with someone who doesn't like you and is and putting all your time investing in them and everything. You need to be investing your time into the people who want to invest their time in you and stuff. And it's important to identify that. Get rid of one-sided people. Again, it's what I mean by that is the people, like I was saying, that really don't do anything to contribute to the relationship between you and them. If you've been able to tell that it's a very like one-sided relationship where you're putting in all the effort and they're doing nothing, if you're the person that's reaching out to them, trying to plan things, hang out, just wanting to talk, just want to call them or whatever it is, and you find that you aren't being reciprocated to, or at least to the level that you think you should be and stuff, then I would recommend, one, identifying that that is the case, and two, maybe pulling back a bit to see really if that person holds the same value to you as you do to them and stuff. I've seen it plenty of times where I've been guilty of it, where I put way too much effort and value into people that did not give two fucking shits about me and stuff, or I was confused or I was misguided in what they were how much value they were putting into me and stuff. So the best, obviously the result of that is, I would say, cut those motherfuckers out of your life and stuff if they really don't put value into your life. And this is a bigger point. Excuses are going to be the case there. You're going to find people in your relationships, as your relationships go on, that there's going to be excuses being made for certain absences of time spent with you and stuff. And I'm not saying that life doesn't get in the way of things, but here's the thing. They're going to be people that go through events in life, but they're not going to use it as there's going to be people that are and aren't going to use it as an excuse not to still put the same level of value into you and into your relationship between you and them and stuff like that. I've had plenty of people that, school came up as a priority and stuff like that. They had kids or whatever, or a job that came up where they moved away. But here's the thing, you only allow those things to become excuses if you let them. I know plenty of people that have all these responsibilities and they still don't say it's an excuse. They don't say it's an excuse to maintain a relationship. It doesn't matter if the relationship is platonic or romantic. If people value you, they will make the time. They will make the effort despite the responsibilities they have. And it goes into this point further, I think. Yeah. Which is what I was going to say. How long does it take to send a text message saying, "Hey, I'm still thinking of you"? Like, what is the actual time it takes to send a text message, texting that out? Probably less than 30 fucking seconds, I'm guessing. So if you can't get 30 seconds of someone's time out of somebody just to say, like, "Hey, just checking in, seeing how you're doing," and stuff like that, you don't even need to follow up. That's a clear indicator. That is a very good indicator of how much value that person puts into you and stuff like that. And, it's tough, everything, but really, I don't think there's an excuse. If they're not willing to do that, then I think you need to really seriously consider the relationship, or reconsider the relationship amongst that person. Like, is there some sort of, what sort of excuse can they make for themselves and stuff at that point? But yeah, no, that's just, I've seen it plenty of times, and both good and bad. And to that point further, you also need to, it's not just on their end too, it's on your end as well. You need to identify your own shortcomings in maintaining the relationships as well. because you need to figure out if you're being that person as well. Are you being the person that's making the excuse to not reach out to one of your friends that you haven't talked to, or maybe one of your family members? You really need to think about that. How often do I talk to my family? How often do I talk to my friends and stuff? Am I putting enough effort into this individual relationship as much as they are, as much as I'm getting from them? Because you'll start to see because you'll see on the receiving end of that, if you aren't putting in as much effort as they are, they start to hang back. They start to not invest as much of their time into you and stuff over time if you're not continuing this and stuff. So it goes both ways. So it's always important to acknowledge your own shortcomings and that you might be the toxic person that isn't putting enough effort into that relationship. Anyway, that's first point. All right, let's go to the second one. So pretty. I almost put this in the obvious one, but I thought just saying stop caring was big enough thing to talk about that I wanted to go in more depth into it. So, okay, didn't mean to do that, but anyway, so you're always going to be criticized and judged. That's just a fact of the matter of reality and stuff. You really people. I don't understand why people don't understand the concept that people just have free will. That is just the case of it. Whether or not you think it's a scientific matter or if it's a religious matter, people are always going to have free will. They're always going to be be able to think whatever they want to think and stuff like that. So you need to acknowledge that is going to be the case, that there are going to be people when you're walking on the street, whether you like it or not, they're going to be judging you and they're going to be criticizing you. Most of the time they don't. Most of the time people are not thinking about you and stuff. So that's an important thing. But there are definitely people that will walk down and they'll just judge you on your appearance and stuff like that. And it's really a thing that people are going to preach it, obviously. It's one of those things. It's you just need to get over it. But I'll definitely say that, yep, that's the thing I would agree with. And it's, I've got a specific example. Why do you care about the random person that on Twitter, what they said to you? If you're on Twitter, if you're on social media, if they said something mean to you, why the fuck do you care about this random person? Have you ever met this person in your life? Do you even know where they live? Do you even know if they're a robot or something? Yeah, they probably aren't thinking about you every second of every day because they've got their own shit going on in their life. So it's really, you're just taking your own time and wasting it by just dwelling on this concept of people just thinking that that you think they're thinking about you all the time. It's just not the case. And this is coming from someone that thinks he's got a really big ass ego and stuff like that and stuff. I acknowledge that I have a pretty fucking big ego. I'll humiliate myself enough to admit that. Again, don't let it paralyze you and stuff. Don't let it cloud your mind and everything. You don't want it to be the thing that's, you're dwelling on for the whole day, so it distracts you from everything you want to be doing and everything. So it takes practice to do. I would say that recommend not being on social media is definitely a good thing to mitigate that and everything. But you just find that, even speaking up from experience, think about if you're out of high school and you've been out for a while, like I have, think about the things that have been said to you by your peers, your classmates while in high school or even middle school or whatever. How many people do you think are really thinking about that still? If you got called chubby in the 9th grade, do you think they're still thinking about how chubby you were at that point in time? Chances are they're fucking not. Chances are they're probably stressing out about something else, or probably porking somebody or doing something else and whatnot. They don't just dwell on this single event that happened in history and everything, So I know it's hard, but that doesn't mean there's you shouldn't at least give it a chance to try. Oh yeah. This is a personal example I had where I personally struggled with because I'm a big music person and stuff, and I took I was in choir and I took opera lessons, so I had a big social anxiety towards how people perceived my voice when I was singing and stuff, but I really liked to do it and everything, in the privacy of my own home, of course, like that. But I would really respect and admire the people that have the courage and the confidence to be able to do that in public and everything, because that does take a lot, everything. I think people are too hesitant, and the reason I use that example is because I feel like people are too hesitant and too scared to try something that they want to do because they're afraid of the reaction that people are going to get and everything. But again, it just goes back to that concept of it's just a matter, it's just a point in time and everything. It's just a point in time. And they're not going to dwell on the comments that they made, and you're probably not going to think about it too much after, or you shouldn't be, at least. But from personal experience, I had that fear, and I've gotten better about it. I'm not saying, I'm being truthful. I'm saying I still struggle with it, but I'm still making the honest effort to try and not think about what other people think about how good of a singer I am or not and stuff. So, yeah. I can't remember what this point was. Very, very little people are naturally gifted. I'm going to go to the next one. Successful people are disciplined, not gifted. I think this was to the point where it's in the sense of comparison to other people and everything. For my specific example, I was told at a young age that I was very gifted at what I could do and everything. I was top of my class in elementary, middle school, or maybe not middle school or something, but there's a lot of classes where I really excelled at in terms of my education and learning. And it wasn't because I felt I was disciplined. It was just I was gifted at understanding something or whatever. I just had a knack for being able to understand a certain concept. But the thing that I've learned from experience is that the people that are the most successful in life are not the ones that are gifted. They're the ones that are disciplined. And if there are gifted people that are successful, they're only successful because they knew about their gift, they acknowledged it, but they also didn't use it as an excuse to not work and not stay disciplined. So it doesn't matter how gifted you are. If you're not willing to apply yourself, then you're going to be eclipsed by the people that are less gifted than you and everything. I've seen it. I've seen it plenty of times. I had that crappy attitude of like I didn't need to apply myself, and I've seen plenty of people that are my contemporaries that are more successful than me and stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. But that's just what I would say. I would say disciplining yourself is going to be a very long-term form of success for yourself. No one knows you better than yourself, not even your partner or spouse. That's the thing. It's just going to be a fact of life that you are going to be the best. You are your own best and worst critic in life. You know, it's just one of those things. It's another talking point that people will always make. So you need to decide and mitigate how much of that criticism that you're willing to put on yourself. I'm not saying be hard on yourself all the time, but the more you apply yourself, the more you discipline yourself into doing the things that either you like or you even don't like, it's going to lead to a better form of success, a long-term form of success for yourself, I would say, from what I've experienced. So other people's failure and lack of trying does not determine your outcome. So I'm trying to think what I meant by this. Other people's failure and lack of trying does not determine your outcome. Yeah, you need to stop. I think people define their success by I think that's the point I was making here. Other people define their version of success with other people's version of success. So if someone else isn't successful, this goes into a later point in the presentation where it tackles dependency and everything, but I've found that I at some point felt like I needed someone else to be successful in something for me to also be successful, and that is just not the case. I can imagine there's some people that would agree with that, but yeah. You can't control the actions of others, but you can control how you react to those actions. So this is more to the point about being criticized and judged. So it goes back to my point where I'm saying that people have free will. They're going to do things and stuff that you have no control over, and you're not going to have control over it at any point in your life. But here's the thing. The things that people say to you, you can control how you react to it. It goes back to that tired old saying of sticks and stones and may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is completely 100% true to this day and everything. You know, if someone decides to call you a frickin' slur or something like that, the only reason it will affect you is because if you allow it to affect you. It is completely 100% a mental mind game to acknowledge that and everything. You know, obviously it's going to be worse than other times. It's different. There's a difference between someone shouting in your face versus them saying it online and stuff like that. But if you can successfully react to it in a passive way and in a nonchalant, don't give a fuck what you think about me sort of fashion or whatever, then I think that ultimately you can find very good success out of that and everything. It's just gonna make your life a lot easier in the long run and stuff, because it's gonna, like, your life is gonna be a whole journey of people judging you, criticizing you, and the faster you learn the skill of disciplining your mind to not give a shit about what other people think that's not useful, then the faster your success is going to come. And that's where I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so now we go to acknowledge your issues and failures. So again, first step is acknowledgement. Just anything that you've, like, this is in just a general sense of, like, whatever problems that you might have, like whether it's some form of addiction, abuse that you might be going through. The first step, again, it's one of those sayings that the first step to solving a problem is admitting there is one. And I've taken this to heart. I've used it in a lot of the times. Like I said, obviously if we're talking about depression, the first step is going to be acknowledging that you even have depression, that you even suffer from it to a varying degree, that you have issues, that you have insecurities. Like I was saying earlier, I have a pretty inflated ego. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that I have it and stuff, you know. Acknowledge your excuses. Find the patterns. So this is this is kind of, I would say, the next step of it, where now that you've acknowledged the problem, you need to identify what the excuses are for not solving the problem and everything. There's been plenty of times where I've gotten to the step of, okay, I have this problem, but now I'm just making excuses to not tackle the problem and stuff. And there can be times, too, when you get into a certain issue or something. I think I got a thing. Yep. Identify the triggers and stuff. That's also another point, too. There's going to be points in which your depression gets triggered, or either other things that might affect you that is a trigger for you or whatever. So let's see, what are those? And then people usually find escapes for their depression in, the forms of porn, sex, alcohol, drugs, all those things. And it could be a lot of things. It could be anything you think that you're abusing and stuff to a certain degree. It could be even video games. I happen to not put that on there. So you need to find, so for me personally, I know that when, and this is actually a more recent thing too, when I am feeling, I remember the other day I had something go wrong with something I was doing. And so my instant reaction in my brain was like, oh, I need to go watch porn or something like that, because, oh God, it's like a shit, it's going to make me feel better, because it is true. It's like, what you're looking for is that dopamine hit of that instant gratification or whatever. It's a chemical that's going to be released in your brain that's going to make you feel better and stuff. It obviously is. So I've acknowledged that I have this problem. I've acknowledged that this is the trigger for it, and this is what my excuse is for this pattern. So now how do I go about mitigating that? Well, what I've found in my example for success is kind of it kind of goes to with the dieting concept, where maybe swap out certain things about your diet that will make it better for you in the long term. So when it comes to this or something like that, like let's say that you are turning to the bottle, you're turning to a joint, you're turning to whatever it is, maybe you could change that habit. I'm not saying don't turn to something, but I'm just saying turn to something that's more productive, that maybe is healthier for you. Could be food also. That could be an abusive thing. But for me, what I've been trying to practice is when I'm upset about something, I want to pick up my guitar and I want to play some music. Or maybe I want to write a script for, doing this video and stuff like that. Some things that are going to be practical and stuff where I can apply myself is what I would say. So that is my personal example. Obviously, your situation is going to be individual to yourself, but that is just the advice that I give. Yep, same thing. That's just what I said. Reach for something better and healthier. Just kind of swap it out if you can. Have the capacity to humiliate yourself. This kind of just goes with acknowledgement of your issues and stuff. It comes with the just being able to, maybe you could even do this standing in front of a mirror, just telling yourself like, hey, I've got this legitimate addiction. I have a fucking foot fetish like no other, and it's a fucking problem because I can't maintain an actual relationship or whatever, I'm just giving a fucking example. Say it's that, I don't know. Or hey, I, smoke like, I don't know I don't know what a practical number is. I smoke 5 joints a day. That is probably not good for me. I probably need to solve that problem. And, maybe not looking in the mirror and looking at yourself and telling you that, or maybe you could write it down. Maybe journaling that. Journaling always is useful and stuff. I've heard plenty of people recommend that. So maybe journaling that problem down. But the point is to intentionally, I would say, have some depth of humility for yourself so that you can again, it goes back to the first step to solving a problem is acknowledging there is one. And to do that, you need to have the capacity to humiliate yourself. And then you need to redefine what it means to fail at things, because I think a lot of people, and I've definitely had an experience where the way that I was brought up is that being a failure is a bad thing. It is not okay to fail in life. It is not okay to fail at anything. And that is a very, very wrong way to look at things. Failure is just I would say, a streamlined version to your success, because it's identifying a problem or a thing that you didn't know already. And so now that you know it, you can fast track your success. So I would highly encourage, when you are trying things to fail, go to things that you will fail at. Like to the point where you will suck at it. Again, it could be with that example of me singing, where I want to do that because it'll show me what I am good at, what I am not, what I need to work on, and so on and so forth. So I highly would highly recommend redefining what it means to fail at certain things, because I can only see it as a stepping stone to your success in the long term. Because it would, if you look at things through the lens of, if I just want to go try this new thing, because there's plenty of people that are of a retirement age, they're really old and stuff, and they haven't tried anything because of the fear of failure, because of the stigma behind it's not okay to fail at things. No. And there's a lot of things that people that are on their deathbed that they admit they wanted to try more things, but they were scared to do it. And we need to, as a society, redefine what it means to fail, like I've been saying. We need to think of it as just a streamlined, fast track way to your success by, like, let's say, I want to try skiing or something. I mean, I've done that before, but let's say I want to try that. And I think it's going to be the best thing in my life. Actually, a better example is I thought I wanted to live in the big city. I thought that was where I wanted to be for my whole life. As soon as I moved there, I fucking hated it. I hated that so much. But here's the thing. I figured that out early on in my life so that I didn't have the plaguing, paralyzing anxiety of what if I went there, and then on my deathbed I would have been like, oh, I didn't know what it was like to live in the big city. So that's the thing, you know. I think it's just, yeah, we need to treat it differently, and that's all I'll say. Okay, on to the next point. Be steadfast in your beliefs. Quantify your reality and situation if that helps you. It's just an acknowledgement of, again, your own problems and everything, but also willing to trudge on or trudge on. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Perhaps adopt a modest amount of nihilism. You are going to die, yes. I think that I think this is to the point of living with a sense of urgency in your life, that you need to be able to get stuff done. And I think there are certain, in my experience, I'm just going to admit, I think that, yes, I think that people should adopt a form of nihilism, that the fact that they are going to die, because I think that does give them a sense of urgency, to live their lives more, less modestly and more practically, willing to, take more risks and everything, because I think we get often in too many routines of our lives that we just don't want to escape that comfort zone or anything. And then, yeah. There's a truth to living every day as your last. Yes, I would agree. It just goes on the fact of just a lot of people, again, fall into this rut of, oh, I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z today, and that'll be it for the day and stuff like that. But it just doesn't give you any sort of uniqueness to your day and whatnot. That's why people tend to find that the years tend to go by faster as they get older, because they fall into more, as they have defined what they like and don't like in life, they have found that what they like now is what they want to enjoy, and so therefore they keep into this formula that they've developed for themselves. And so when they're asked later on in life, oh, I didn't do much with my life or whatever, it's because you already identified what that was. Maybe, you could have done that to more of an extent, but it goes to the point of trying and taking more risks and everything, and living by the mantra of live every day as your last. I'm not saying obviously go skydiving every day or go rob a bank. I'm just saying that have the awareness, the mental awareness, to kind of acknowledge what is going on in your day-to-day routine and stuff like that, and maybe do something else that mixes it up a little bit so that you can actually remember that day was different from the last. Because you might not think of that being helpful or useful to you now, but when you come 20, 30 years later, you'll have a grand old time talking about it, and you're like, hey, I did this interesting thing on that day or whatever. It was different from my regular routine and stuff. So, yeah. Other people have other values. So there's a point below this. Your experiences make you unique to yourself. So what people a lot of the time don't understand is that you are you. There is never going to be another you that ever exists in humanity. and stuff. In the history of humanity or anything like that, there is never going to be an exact copy of you, because your experiences are going to be always different, and they're always going to influence what you're going to be doing. So, let's say you've got the name John. There's plenty of fucking people named John. How many people named John live in this specific town or were born in this specific town on this specific day? Not a whole fucking lot. So that is an experience that is completely unique to yourself. How many people named John went to this school and, did this specific sport there? Oh, okay, 2 of them? Okay, well, what about one that played the starting quarterback and one that didn't? That's a completely different, unique experience to that John versus the second John. So you need to acknowledge that your experiences are always going to be unique to yourself. There is only one you, and so you need to stop worrying about trying to be someone other than yourself. And that goes back to the point of being steadfast in your beliefs. And this is that example I pointed out. Presidents are ranked differently. I think this is just a personal topic that I'm interested in, where I've been listening to people talk about ranking their presidents, and people are always going to rank the U.S. presidents differently because their values are different. So your values, based on where you grew up, are probably going to be different than the values of, say your friend that maybe grew up in another town, or maybe a rural town, or an urban city or something. So obviously, what they hold as values, maybe your values are similar, but they rank in different orders and stuff like that. And therefore, you're going to have different opinions about stuff. But again, you live through different experiences and everything. I think a really big example is that, you think going through school with a group of friends, from elementary school to high school, you think that you're all going to be the same and stuff throughout your lives. And you learn that oh, hey, wait, they all go to different colleges and stuff like that, and they all have different classes. So guess what? Those are different experiences. They're going to have different opinions about stuff now because they're finally experiencing different things than you and stuff. And they're going to, whether or not they're going to maintain that friendship and stuff, you just don't know, because their values might change because they've lived different experiences at that point. Again, yeah, there's always going to be something unique about you. Just know that, if you're watching this, there's a bunch of people that aren't watching this video and stuff right now and stuff like that. So that's a unique thing about yourself. So yeah, it just depends. Maybe you're listening to this with headphones, on speakers, on your phone. I don't know. It could be unique to you or something like that. But the time and place in which you do it, that's unique to yourself also. So yeah, just be steadfast. Anyway, take in the criticism. This kind of goes into stop caring, but so now that I've talked about that, now we're going to talk about applying that criticism and everything, that the criticism that you do hear. So yes, this is to the point of where the words affect you as long as you let them. And again, yeah, it's just a point I made earlier and stuff. It's just as long as the words are only going to affect you as long as I already said that point. It's okay to wear your influences on your sleeves. Okay, I get a lot of people that have identity issues with themselves. They can't seem to carve out their own identity in their personality. And so what I see a lot of the time is they'll try to mimic a certain style or a certain aspect of of someone's personality so that they can I guess I don't know if it's a thing to be more well. I guess in my experience, I've tried to adopt certain personality traits of other people, like celebrities and stuff, or maybe by my parents or family or members or something like that. And people have had this negative reaction that that's not okay. And no, that's not the case at all. You can definitely do that. It's going to be to a point that I say later in this slide, but just anything that, any advice can be good advice as well, depending on perspective. So actually, I'm just going to go to the picture that I had for this. Okay. So we'll put this. So this is Bruce Lee. This is a really awesome quote that I had from him. So absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. So this kind of ties in everything a lot better, makes more sense with wearing your influences on your sleeves. Like, because there are obviously aspects of, like, let's say your family, your friends, that you attribute really good qualities to them and stuff like that. But obviously there are maybe qualities about them that you don't like. So when it comes to developing your own individuality and stuff, it's important to, like it's saying here, acknowledge what is useful, reject what is not, and everything. So, yeah, but also the fact of any advice is good advice depending on your perspective. I think this goes more to the point of the failure concept of redefining your sense of what it means to fail and understanding that it's just a faster track to success. And so if you have some sort of advice that's being given to you, say, bring back to the example of my singing, somebody gave you some advice, you didn't want to hear about that. Well, depending on how you shift, again, you can either approach it from one of two ways. You can either not give a shit about what they think and hone in on what you want to do, or you can take the advice they've been given to you and apply it in a way that's going to make you stronger as an individual, that's going to just make yourself more successful even faster and stuff. But I definitely would highly recommend, just if you get something from this slide, it's the Bruce Lee quote, just be able to identify what is useful to you in your life and the things that aren't useful to you. Again, it could be, what we were talking about with relationships, the people that put value in you versus the people that don't put value in you and stuff. You need to get rid of that too. But yeah, and then that's why I think I don't think people that wear their influences on their sleeves are inherently that defined by that person, because I think that they're taking, even in my case, I would say that, like, I'm very strongly influenced by, I think, a lot of comedians and stuff like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, but I don't think that I have at all their same qualities and stuff. I have my own uniqueness to myself, that I have taken what lessons they have provided in life, but also applied it to my own unique character and stuff. So that's just what I would say about that. Be intentional and single-minded. Sorry, I just need to take a drink. So this is to the point of multitasking and everything, because I think in today's culture we do a lot of this multitasking work and everything, and it's just it can be very overwhelming for people. And so a good example of that I listed is, when you're watching a movie at home or something like that, a lot of people tend to be on their phones or whatever while they're watching the movie if they want to send a text or something. So what I found as something that's been successful for me is to be more intentional in what I want to do in certain things. So, like, if I'm going to watch a movie, then I'm going to watch a movie. I'm not going to watch a movie and be on my phone. I'm going to turn off my phone, and if I need to, at the very worst, tell my friends, be like, "Hey, I'm watching a movie. Do not text me right now." But I mean, obviously, I just turn off my phone and stuff, and then I would sit down and watch it. You can't find enjoyment because you're absent-minded. Again, it just goes back to that point of where you've got so many different things that you're being distracted by that you can't find enjoyment, even in the things that you thought you did enjoy, because you're having so many things pull you in different directions and stuff like that you now just can't focus. Like, some people think that you need to listen to music while you're reading a book. You don't obviously need to do that and stuff. You don't need to socialize while you're reading a book. That's why, like, if you think you're not enjoying reading anymore, it's because you might be having these distractions and stuff like that. If you think you might not be, like with me and playing guitar, I would ask myself at times, like, oh, am I enjoying playing the guitar and stuff right now? I'm like, Well, no, because I'm on my phone half the time and stuff. And so, like, obviously, when I do that, then I don't see a lot of progress in my playing because I've been distracted. And therefore, I'm like, oh, well, I don't enjoy playing the guitar because I'm not seeing any long term success. Well, why is that? And stuff. So, there you go. Read picture books, listen to jazz. So this is just more intentional stuff. It's just maybe finding alternatives to the things that you enjoy, or identifying what those things are specifically about the hobbies that you do enjoy. So maybe for me personally, the reason I read picture books is because I suck at reading. I am not a good reader. I just can't focus in on a book at a lot of time. However, with picture books, my stimulation is still kept there and everything. So for me personally, that works for me and stuff. It goes back to the point of fail to meet your success and stuff. Try this book. Didn't like this. Okay, well, what if I try reading a book like this and stuff? Then and you found success. Well, cool. That's awesome. And then when it comes to music, maybe there's a lot of music that you don't like and stuff, but you didn't know that until you actually listened to that music, and then you just happen to try it, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. I happen to like jazz music. Okay, cool. If I didn't make the effort to listen to all these genres of music, I wouldn't have found this genre of music I did like and everything. Push out the distractions where possible. Again, reiterating that point of just be single-minded with your intentions and everything. Getting a dumb phone. Okay, so this is something that I've done recently that actually has been like 100% successful. So what I have now is where I have a phone that can only text and make calls. And then I have my old phone that is only used as an iPod. Just think of it like an iPod Touch or whatever. So I'm a lot more intentional about what I'm doing. So if I am on my phone, I'm going to be talking to somebody. If I'm on my iPod, I'm probably going to be listening to music. And then I have my computer as well, obviously. So if I'm going to be doing anything else, like streaming, watching videos, or watching movies, it's always going to be on the computer. So I can create an environment of intention and everything. So that, because how often do we need to have a device that can do 100 different things on it with us at all times? I think once you take away, and I will say this too for the social media detox, or getting rid of social media, or at least pulling away and mitigating some of that, you start to identify what was useful and what wasn't, again, on the Bruce Lee concept. And so I found that when I downgraded to a dumb phone, I found that I wasn't using a lot of the features I wasn't needing a lot of the features on my phone that I needed when I was out of the house a lot. I just needed to be able to call somebody, and that's about it. I don't need maps. I'm pretty well situated to know where my place is and everything. I don't need a calculator too often. I don't need a clock. If I do, it's on my phone. But just about being more intentional and stuff. So yeah, and so that'll make it so that you are more present in this moment and stuff. Yep. I already beat it to it. Social media intention. You want to be intentional about what you're doing. So I'll give an example for this too. So I recently deleted my Facebook account, and I found that I haven't needed my Facebook for anything except to get on certain Facebook groups to find, just to buy for buy, sell, and trade in terms of stuff. But other than that, I have found no use out of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, because I can send pictures and texts and stuff either through email or through a text message, an SMS on my phone. And that's it. I accomplished that and everything. And if my peers and friends are closed-minded to not answer a text message, that's on them. And that's more to the point of putting how much value they put into the relationship, if they're willing to answer a goddamn email and stuff. let relationships you want to die go. So I found that there are certain relationships I've had with people where just because of our own unique experiences in life, that we had diverged in thinking and being individuals and stuff. And this is more to if someone is not putting value in you, or even if you are even if you're the toxic person, if you acknowledge that you're that person that doesn't put a lot of value into that person, then the best thing you can do for them is just not talk to them at all and stuff, and maybe just letting it, fizzle off and stuff like that. Because obviously, if you see the relationship fizzling away and everything among them, and that's partially on their end too, then you might need to acknowledge for yourself that that's the case. You just need to let it go. And there's nothing unnatural about that and stuff. There's plenty of people in life that are, they just go down different paths in life, and that's just the case of it. It's not anything bad. I think it's anything, and you should look at it as a way to apply yourself to making more friends in the future and stuff. It will tell you what you did wrong and what you did right. But yeah, I can't remember if there's more, but yep, okay. Be courageous and challenge yourself. Okay, accept the capacity and ability for personal growth, discovery, and development. So be willing to go out there and do things, essentially. Be courageous in the areas of life that are easier than others. So there's an example I'm going to give here in a sec, but yeah, it's just honing in on the be willing to kind of fail and everything. Be willing to take a risk in life. But here's the thing: I think people who hear the advice of take more risks is they have a general a general terminology or whatever, or a general statement about just take more risks. And I would say, I would add to it and be like, well, take risks in areas that you feel more comfortable in taking risks in. Because obviously, you don't want to do something that is completely left field of what your wheelhouse is or what you're comfortable with. So, don't immediately go skiing if you haven't done it before and you're not in shape for it. But if say you wanted to go swimming or something like that instead, you wanted to try swimming as a sport, then I would recommend doing that, and you have some experience in it. Say you wanted to get back into swimming, but you wanted to do skiing as well. Well, obviously go do the form or go swim and stuff, because that's that's a smaller step to take in your long-term success and everything, versus trying that. Because the problem is, if you push yourself too much, then you run the risk of not wanting to do that again, but not for the right intention. Because there's failing at something and acknowledging that, but there's also failing at something to the point where it scares you away. And I wouldn't like to be in that boat of an example. I'd rather have it be that former of the situation and everything. So yeah, this is an example I just cited. So maybe asking that girl out is harder than applying for that new job and stuff. It just depends. It depends on what level of risk you think you are taking and challenge you think it is. Is it harder to ask a girl out, or is it harder to apply for a job? Me personally, it's harder to ask a girl out, but that's just me. I just find the task a little bit more difficult for my personal self, So it's about identifying what is harder, what is easier for you personally, because, again, it tailors to your own experiences in life. Some things are going to be easier to challenge yourself to, and some things aren't. Apply the you haven't lost anything mentality. So I've done some acting in the past and stuff like that, and a really good piece of advice that I got for this, and this can be more applicable to certain things, with applying for jobs in this, is that you were already in a situation prior to what you're going to be doing where any possible outcome that comes out of this is already going to be a neutral outcome. So if you're applying to a job that you liked and you think you're going to be upset, like, you shouldn't worry about the failure of that denial for the job application, because the fact of the matter is you already didn't have the job to begin with. So you're already back to square one. You didn't lose anything in terms of taking that risk. You didn't lose anything. If anything, you gained more knowledge than anything. But if you want to take a neutral point of view to that, I think that's just the best way of, it's either take a neutral or positive way of looking at it. There shouldn't be a negative way you should be looking at a situation where it involves taking a risk. So asking a girl out, well, guess what? You already weren't dating that girl and stuff. So yeah. And I should know that is a fucking hard, and I'm not saying it's like easy to do, to apply that mentality. I'm just saying to have the courage to apply that mentality and stuff. And I'm, like I say, I'm gonna humiliate myself and be like, yeah, no, it's fucking hard. It is fucking hard, but that doesn't mean I'm not willing to try and stuff. Is the biggest point. Yep, you already don't have the job, so applying to it can't hurt. It's okay to not like certain things, but always confirm those opinions of yourself. Again, it's just figuring out what you like and you don't like, and you need to be able to just take a risk to be able to identify those certain things. Higher risks result in higher rewards. So the more risks you're willing to take, the more either things you might discover that you like or you don't like and stuff. And again, it could be with, or it is with that. It is to the point of like the faster you take those risks, the faster in life that you're going to know the things you like. And I think just for long-term happiness, it's just going to make you a lot happier. Once you realize like what you like in life and what you don't like in life, then you can finally pursue and get into a routine that's going to make you consistently happy. I'm willing to try this at a certain capacity. Again, you need to identify what capacity you're willing to take a risk at. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario. Maybe, it's you don't have to set the goal for yourself like, hey, I'm going to ask out 10 girls a week or something like that. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can do this at whatever pace you want to go at. If it's asking a girl out a year, that's already better than what you weren't doing. Like, okay, so if you're going from you haven't asked a girl out at all this past year, and like, let's say you're making a New Year's resolution, well, hey, you like setting a goal to ask one girl out in 2022 is already better than the goal you had for last year, which wasn't one. So yeah, I think you just need to be at the capacity that you are comfortable with, but also be willing to apply yourself and take that risk. Oh, how many blind people gave up and stuff. So I've heard plenty of stories about people that I think you need to acknowledge your situation too, and you need to look at it with a certain lens of perspective. In that, I'll just say that there's people I've seen that like are disabled, quadriplegic, or something like that, and they look at their situation, but they don't see it as a disability. They still go on with their lives and stuff like that. I've seen a guy that has cerebral palsy, and he's, I think, under 100 pounds. And he was able to lift double his weight in a deadlift. And it was all about a matter of perspective. It's, you just have to have the confidence to believe in yourself, whether or not that's the case. Maybe, you're not that, like, naturally good looking or something like that. Or maybe it's just like you're not really talented, because I will say from my experience, what I've been doing recently is I've been applying to jobs that I don't think I would ever qualify for or anything, but that doesn't mean I'm not still trying and stuff like that. I'm changing my mindset to think I can believe that I can and stuff, and therefore I'm creating this confidence in myself to think that I can do it, and maybe perhaps I can get that job or whatever, or maybe I can ask that girl out because I'm redefining what my confidence is and everything. I'm redefining my situation and everything. I'm not looking at it from a really bad perspective of like, oh, I'm limited because of the way I am. I'm limited at this capacity. It's like, no, if people that are disabled can use their disability as an advantage, and they can look at it from the greener side, then they should. Then I can't imagine like why we can't. And I'm certainly willing to admit that too. Yeah, how many people, how many crippled people gave up? There's plenty of people that don't see it as a disability; they see it as a positive. And then, yeah, I don't know. Okay, come to rely on yourself. The ultimate task of you are responsible for your own well-being and stuff. That's just the fact of the matter. You're going to be on this plane of existence for a set amount of time. It's going to be longer and shorter than all of your contemporaries. There's a very small chance that someone you're close to is going to die at the exact same fucking time as you are and stuff. So it's just know that you are going to be here. You need to be responsible for yourself if you want to see long-term success. It's better to be independent than codependent. Oh, I've met plenty of people, younger and older, that have this issue of, I think, a lack of self-confidence, and just they feel, and I know with people that have admitted to me that they've said that they feel like they can't live without relying on someone else. And well, what happens then when that person leaves and stuff like that? Well, you're completely fucking screwed. Or if they happen to goddamn die or something like that, well, guess what? I think you need to make the person. And I looked, and that's the situation I identified for myself. That's what I figured out in the long term, is that if that is the case where I'm with someone, or if I end up being with someone, it's like, no, they're going to fucking die at some point. And so it's better to be able to take care of myself, because if I solely put all of my marbles into like their situation or whatever, hypothetical marbles or metaphorical marbles into their trust and situation to manage my fucking life, and then they suddenly disappear, well, shit, I didn't spend any time investing in myself. So what the heck I am completely screwed and stuff. People have admitted this to me. They're like, I don't know how to function, and I'm 50 years old and stuff, because I spent my whole life around people that took care of things for me. So it's better to be the person that knows how to take care of themselves, because you can't control the situation where other people are going to come and leave into your life, but you can control, again, how you react to that, how well you're prepared for that situation, and everything. There's no set time in life for this. So I think a lot of people get into this mindset of, oh, if I'm set in my ways or something like that. And I'm like, that is not the case. You can start this whenever you think you need to, young or old. It's just a matter of believing in yourself that you need to start making these small steps in seeing your own, visualizing your own success and everything. You know, maybe it's like, okay, I want to cook a new meal. Maybe I want to start cooking for myself. Maybe I want to start exercising for myself. Maybe I want to start driving myself to here and stuff like that. But, you know, again, there's no set time limit. Obviously, I would encourage doing it faster rather than later. But, you know, it depends on the level of urgency and capacity that you're willing to take for yourself. You will not always have someone with you. Again, just back to that point. You're just not going to always have someone. Like, there's going to be at least a time in your life where you're going to be alone, and you need to ask yourself, are you prepared for that situation to happen and stuff? I will just say from my example, I think, and I'm not saying that there can't be an extreme to the opposite too. I would actually think that I'm in the extreme of independence, where I'm so against the idea of asking for help that I just won't do anything. And I know, because I lived that example for a very long time to a unhealthy degree. I wouldn't take any money from my parents at all, not a single dollar, after I got out of high school and stuff. And then it got to the extent where at my complete worst, I was eating out of the trash I was underweight. I was overweight and underweight. And I was eating out of the trash and I was living on the street, out of a vehicle and stuff. And because I was so keen on being independent for myself, I was not willing to ask for help. So obviously there is an extreme to that, and I'm acknowledging that. But again, if there is a situation in the future whereby I literally can't be dependent upon someone else, then I have this experience of independence that I know that I can at least take care of myself and everything. I'm not saying do it all the time. I'm just saying be prepared for it and everything. But it starts with your action rather than inaction. Obviously, yeah, because again, if you sit around waiting, just and it happens. I've had examples. I'm at the age now where I've had enough people, both in my family and in families of friends, where a significant family member died or something like that, and for some people, they reacted a lot stronger than I think. I think in my case, I was more prepared because of the actions that I took, because I was proactive in preparing myself for the situation versus other people I have seen did not do anything to prepare themselves for that situation because maybe they thought that that situation wasn't going to apply to them until way later in life. But that's the thing, you just don't know. You just don't know when someone's gonna just kill over and fucking die. So, the best advice I give is just, applying yourself, being proactive towards that. It'll fast track your success, in everything, your happiness and whatnot. What makes you feel better and stuff. I think that's just this is more to the point of come to rely on yourself. What makes you feel better? Yeah, I just think it's more to the point of like just identifying what's going to make you happy and everything. Yeah, take the small steps. Oh, yeah. So when you're in kind of like the state of trying to establish independence for yourself, and like say like you're going through a depressive episode or something like that, the things that I have found that have been helpful were to because I will say for recent examples, the days I've had days where I don't want to work out and I didn't work out and stuff like that, and I wanted to commit to like working out every day, and I just feel like shit if I missed a day or something like that. And so the days that I did happen to get myself back on my feet is that I would tell myself, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to reach my goal, but I'm at least going to try for it and everything. So like, so again, this is why I use the example, like take a shower, go shave, make a healthy dish or whatever. It could start with whatever, because I think negative habits begate negative habits and stuff like that. They're on track for the same sort of thing. So I would just say that, like when I skipped my day of jogging, I remember the day after I pushed myself to go jog, and I wasn't good at it. I didn't PR or anything. I didn't even get anywhere near what I was doing the day before. I took a day off, but I told myself, I'm like, I'd rather try at this than I'm willing to try and fail rather than not try at all. I can't remember what that saying is that it's from a show or something like, I can accept failure, but what I can't accept is not trying and stuff. So I think that's the thing. I think people need to look at it like, well, obviously you don't have to, if you fall down and stuff, you can still get back up and everything. You can always still get back up. You don't need to you don't always need to be going at a pace that you think you need to be going at and stuff. If you need to build yourself back up to the person that you once were, that is totally okay and everything. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. What happens when someone important to you dies? How will you... Oh, yep. I just brought this point up. Yep. Exactly. Know your limits and test yourself. Ask for help when it is needed, not when it is wanted. This is more to what I was saying with my situation, where, again, I'm in the extreme where I was in a very tough place when I was in my most like, oh, don't help me, I'm independent and stuff like that. But I think it's good to identify what are the parts of your life and stuff where you actually need help with things, and what are the parts where you want help with things. And I would challenge you to put yourself in the best situation where you have the best of both. You are in a situation, you know what the things that you need and the help that you need for certain things. That is totally fine. But the things that you want, I would challenge you to think about, is it really a need or a want for that situation? And put yourself in a position of independence to not desire that want, so that you can become more successful with your independence and everything, and be more successful with relying on yourself. I think that's about it. Yep. So get to it. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Sorry, that was kind of a jamble and everything, but those are kind of just the things that I've found have been successful for me, in terms of just general advice on how I've kind of been combating my depression and stuff. And again, these are things that I failed at, and tried, and then known that to be able to say what I was just able to say is because I was willing to I made enough failures in life and achieved enough successes to know these things work, these things don't. Maybe I can do another video on the stuff that didn't work for me or whatever, and then I think I talked about it earlier in the video, but yeah, no, I just wanted to say that that's what I did. Hopefully, you got something out of this, if anything. But yeah, no, just wanted to say thanks for watching, listening, whatever it is. I'll put this on my YouTube and stuff, just for people to have it. I highly recommend just listening to it. You don't even have to watch the PowerPoint and stuff, but it's definitely something, because I think I'm in that example of, I think any advice is good advice if you apply it to your situation. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.